Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Mail. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy. He sent in a few stories in the past about his adventures before he met his now wife, who he has a really good marriage with. And in this particular story, he's sharing about adventures that happened like 20-some years ago about some gal he met online through like Yahoo Messenger. Like, we're going back in time here. And you're going to see, guys, how from the get-go he learned that she's not relationship material. However, because of things, in my opinion, he did and said and behaved, she perceived him as a nice guy, and therefore started pulling BS once she had that perception of him as well as her friends. But the funny thing is, this guy wasn't some average, weak, nice guy, and let's just say completely blows up in her face by him treating her like a side piece. And I'll be going to go over here, guys, just to show you, number one, when you know they're not relationship material, don't even waste your time. And gals don't like it when, they see you as a certain way and you prove them wrong. And when they have a certain perception of you, it's very hard to change that, whether that perception is accurate or not. And in this situation, you'll see this right here. And when they start showing you who they are, you have every right to kick them to the curb and treat them accordingly, like the way they treat you and behave. So if they behave like an HOE, they behave like a side piece, a piece of meat, treat them accordingly. And there you go, because I guarantee if they're behaving like that, they got other dudes on the side, and they ain't relationship material, as you'll see in this short story. He says, Dear SSM, I'm the guy that sent you a couple stories related to my divorce and a couple of dates that I've been on since my divorce and prior to being my current wife of 17 years. This particular story is a good example of the lesson you always preach about how the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Absolutely, my man. But also the lesson, like I mentioned earlier, about women's perception of you. He says, before I met my beautiful bride of 17 years, I started dating a woman I will call Monica. This is actually after the two women that proposed to me that I discussed in previous stories, but don't worry, there'll be no proposals in this story. Well, good, we had enough proposals before. I met Monica on the Yahoo dating service in the mid-2000s. Holy crap, we're going back in time. We connected, and after chatting for a while via instant messenger and meeting up in the park. Once there, we talked about several things. She told me at this point she was not wanting to be exclusive. I agreed because it was too soon for something like that. Good. You're darn right, and that is one area I don't disagree with her. You were just talking on Yahoo Messenger, maybe a few phone conversations. Of course you wouldn't jump into a relationship with a chick you just met. That'd be crazy. Anyway, we talked about a lot of things that day, and somehow the topic of her piercings came up. Piercings, huh? She's one of those girls, huh? Naturally, as she was talking about them, I asked her where she had them, and you can imagine where we ended up after that. A few hours later, as we were lying in bed, she even reiterated again she did not want to be in an exclusive relationship, which I was cool with. You hooked up with her on the first date. She is not girlfriend material. No. You can have fun with her, friends with benefits, casual, whatever, but no. And not to mention the fact that the piercings and all that, that's a no-no. Because guess what? You're guarantee the reason she's making it clear, don't want to be exclusive, is because she's probably having fun with other dudes as well. And then the whole piercing things, and then also on the first day hooking up. It's a no-no. Over the next several weeks, we went out on several dates. She even invited me to have dinner with her friends and their husbands one evening. I wouldn't have done that. The way I see it, unless she's your girlfriend, don't waste your time meeting friends or family and that type of thing, because they're going to start perceiving you a certain way. Those are the benefits she gets if you're exclusive. I made sure to bring a bottle of wine and a bouquet of flowers for one of her friends as a hostess gift. Smack! I get the wine or a six-pack, but flowers? Come on, dude. That is screaming nice guy. And watch this. And her friends immediately told Monica that I was a keeper. Translation, your relationship material, marriage material. And you think her friends are probably, I'm sure her friends are more than aware of her escapades as she's probably seeing other dudes. So right there, oh, he's a nice guy. I was able to get along with their husbands and was also willing to help in the kitchen if they needed because I was a full-time single father, so I knew how to cook as well. In short, they all loved me. No, they acted like they loved you. They're thinking, cha-ching, girl, you got your guy when you're ready. That's what I think. It was a few weeks after this that everything fell apart. Shocker, because you start perceiving you as that nice guy. And that's usually when BS begins because they think, oh, he ain't going anywhere. It was Wednesday night and I had gotten a babysitter for my son so I could go out on a date with another woman. After all, we were not exclusive at Monica's request. That's right, remember, she requested that. Monica ended up texting me while I was on the date with this woman. Needless to say, I did not respond to it. In point of fact, I responded to the next day. I have no problem with that, because you guys aren't exclusive and you're on another date. But watch this. In response to my text, she called me and we started talking. She asked me why I had waited so long the next morning to respond, and I told the truth. I was on a date. Hey, you're not exclusive. As you can imagine, she started to freak out, saying, "How could you see another woman?" I calmly told her, "We are not exclusive. You explicitly stated you did not want to be exclusive, and in point of fact, 2 weeks earlier, you showed up for a date with me with a hickey on your neck that I did not give you, so I don't want to hear it." Good for you, man. Stand up for yourself. You see my point? When women think that you're a nice guy, that you're going to put up with shit, they're going to pull crap like this. Now, don't get me wrong. Women do shit tests to test your strength. You're going to stand up for yourself and all that. But this is beyond this. Her perception of you is you're going to cave. And she's probably thinking, oh, you're a single dad looking for a wife or a mom or something like that. Who knows? As you're probably picking up here, after my experience with Mary, Jessica, and the woman from the coffee house and my other videos, my BS tolerance level was significantly lower than in the past at this point. Yeah, good. I then told Monica that we will have to talk about this later because I was packing because my son and I are going on a trip to visit my father, who lived 3 states away, and we were leaving tomorrow. In other words, we're done. We can maybe talk about this later. I don't have time for this shit. So the next day, my son and I left early in the morning for our 12-hour road trip. This was back in the 2000s when the cell phone networks weren't as robust as they are now. So for most of the trip, I kept my phone off because it would just run the phone down if I was searching for non-existent signals in the mountains or desert. Very smart. I've traveled across Wyoming in the middle of nowhere 6 years ago, and it was dying out there. And this is 2019. When I finally arrived at my father's house, I turned my cell phone on, only to discover several missed calls and text messages are waiting for me. Man, she is stage 4 clinger. She is mental. That night, I finally responded to some of the text messages. Monica was still upset with me, but said she forgave me for going on a date. Forgave you? You're not exclusive. She made that clear. The second you met her when you were out somewhere feeding the ducks or going on a walk or something, and then after you banged her, after you're talking about her piercings, she made it clear, not exclusive. Yet she wants to treat you like you're her boyfriend and have control over you. Meanwhile, she's out with other dudes getting hickeys. I responded with her, okay, and I forgive you for showing up to my date with a hickey that I did not give you. As you can imagine, any further talk of forgiveness ended because she knew that she did not have the moral high ground. That means she's not going to pull bullshit, dude. We talked about a lot of things, but ended up going nowhere with the conversation. Never argue with a drunk or a fool, and oh yeah, never argue with a woman. The 2 points I remember most were her saying, number 1, I just wish that things can go back to where they were, to which I responded, then you shouldn't have messed things up with me, for the crime being honest and living up to what we agreed to. It's always funny to me when they're always like, oh, if I could go back in time, if I could turn back time. Look, unless she is in possession of the DeLorean or she can convince Dr. Strange to give her the time stone, you can't turn back time or wish you can do this. It's a waste of time. Shut up. Finally, we agreed that when I got home in a few days, we would see each other and she could come over to my home. Well, when I got home, after putting my son to bed, Monica arrived and went to the bedroom. Well, she didn't waste any time, did she? After a lot of fun, as we were both tired from our exertions, she asked me if we were better, to which I said, I think so, but it's probably not a good idea for you to be here when my son wakes up in the morning. Hey, you're treating her exactly as she is. A piece of meat, a side piece. And she's demoted herself to something that she'll never be girlfriend material, ever. And she's just a pain in the ass. Starts bullshit. So the next day, she called me and said that when I sent her home after we had done the deed, it made her feel really cheap. And she couldn't believe that I would treat her that way after we were doing better. Doing better, you just got together that night. And you're treating her exactly in the way that she behaved. Remember, I don't want to get exclusive. Remember, you hooked up on the first dates and all that. But you see, you're not behaving the way she perceived you to be, and her friends did. They were wrong. I simply told her that she wanted to keep things non-exclusive, so she was getting exactly that. What I didn't tell her was that any chance of us being exclusive were gone after the freak out from earlier. Good. This is why, gentlemen, you take a while to get exclusive, to really get to know someone. How dumb would that have been after on the first date you became exclusive just because you were talking on Yahoo Messenger, or if this is modern times, just exchanging texts and getting to know each other through the dating app messaging thing. That's stupid. You spend months, guys. That's when you start to see these things. But some people can hide them for a while. As you can imagine, that relationship basically fizzled out after that, although she would still come home every so often to have some fun time. It was a couple months later that I finally met the woman that would become my wife. I like to think that dealing with the various psychos prepared me for her, so that I could appreciate a good woman when I found her. Anyway, keep up the good work, SSM. Your videos entertain and have many lessons for those willing to learn. Well, bro, I appreciate you sending in your story. There's always a lesson somewhere. I'm glad that after all the crap you went through, you found a great gal and you're having a good thing going. I remember you mentioning her before, and and you're obviously know how to handle things right. But yeah. Think of those crazy gals as training, to learn what you don't want, to learn how to handle these types and to deal with all the bullshit. Because if you didn't, who knows what would have been with your wife. So anyway, I really strongly think, number one, from the get-go, you knew she wasn't, well, let me rephrase that. She didn't want to be exclusive. And the question is, would you been, well, I guess she wouldn't have been exclusive if she wanted to. So okay, good, there. But the fact that she wanted to sleep with you on the first date, or you did, nope, not relationship material in my eyes. And then the fact that she made it clear, I don't want to be exclusive, that told me she was hooking up with other dudes and wanted to keep it that way. But I really think when you brought the bouquet of flowers to the friend's house and acted like a boyfriend, they're like, oh, he's a keeper because, he's relationship material, he's marriage material. Remember, that's not what you want to be called. You don't want to be called, oh, you're the guy every girl can marry, you're such a nice guy. That's what the flowers represented. If you just say you brought a six-pack or a bottle of wine, okay, no problem. And there are probably other things you were saying or doing, but I also told you, and remember this, guys, unless she's your girlfriend, in my opinion, don't waste your time getting together with her friends or meeting her family, doing that stuff, because, again, that's what nice guys do. Do you think bad boys would go meeting her friends and the family? Real bad boys would try to bang her friends. So I think that they wrongly had the wrong perception of you, and that's why she started changing, notice, after you met her friends. But obviously you showed her not happening, and she didn't like that. So, but anyhow, she's a nut job, so the hell with her. Anyway, bro, good job, and I'm glad things are going well in your life. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you got a story to share, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will when I get the chance. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.